This video was all shot indoors against a blue screen, which made the whole shoot a lot easier because once I set up the lights, then I pretty much just reused it for all the other shots, and I don't really have to worry too much about it. So let me show you how I got the shots that allowed me to do all the effects later on in post production.
Okay, so let's begin. First, before you start, you'll need a blue screen, obviously. So if you have the money, you can just simply rent a nice blue screen studio, and all your work is done for you. But for the rest of us who don't have the money, we can make our own. So basically, the way that I did in this example is I got a big piece of blue cloth. Once again, you can use blue or green in this project that we're shooting. I happen to have some clothing that had some green colors in it, so we decided to go with a blue screen. But yeah, basically you can buy a piece of material, either blue or green color, and also you should make sure that the material is not it's not shiny, basically. So that if you put lights, and at an angle and stuff like that, and while lighting the blue screen, that you won't get these kind of hot spots in it. And then other than that, just pretty much buy as much material as you need, and then you can just kind of wrap it around and put it basically like you see the way we've done up here, where we hang it on the top on this long kind of a beam that we have standing on two light stands. And actually, just to give you another tip, just while looking around on eBay, I realized that you can buy a really good quality blue or green screen cloth for pretty cheap these days. So that's actually another option if you just don't want to bother looking around in your local stores and whatever. You could just simply order it online and get a nice blue screen package, and many times you'll actually get it with these kind of light stands like you see I'm using up here, and ways of mounting it and things like that. So that might save you a bit of time. And the good thing is that you can fold it up, pack it in your car, and then doesn't matter what location you're at, you can always just basically unfold this piece of cloth, and then right there you have your little mini blue screen or green screen studio. So here's the first step of setting up a blue screen. Is first of all, you want to do it in a place where you don't have too much, or where you don't have any light, kind of outside light that you can't control coming in. The reason why is because you really want to be able to control all the lights in a blue screen kind of a shoot. So in this case, we actually shot this in a old warehouse, and there was a few windows actually. One window right behind the blue screen there, and so basically what we end up doing is just we end up blocking out all those windows so that we had no outside light coming in. Then we basically set up our two light stands, a beam on top of those, and then we draped the blue screen over that beam. Now, as you can see, this blue screen that we're using up here is pretty wrinkled up, and the reason is because we used it on different shoots, and we just kind of fold it up quickly and throw it in back of the car, and it just over time it just got really wrinkled up. It's not really a problem though, like as you'll see in this setup, because the first thing you will want to do anyways is you'll kind of want to just stretch the cloth as well as you can, basically, to eliminate most of the wrinkles. And also so that later on, if you're using wind, like we actually did in this shoot, we used a little wind machine and stuff like that, that you just want to make sure that it doesn't kind of move around on you. So by stretching it, you'll eliminate the bigger wrinkles, and the small wrinkles you're gonna eliminate anyways when you're actually lighting the blue screen. So once you have the blue screen nice and kind of stretched over, then we start setting up the lights. And blue screen, basically what you want to end up doing is you want to kind of light it evenly from every side. So up here we end up having one light from the top up here, which is a 1000 watt, and it's a softbox that creates these very soft and limited shadows. Then we also have 1K light on the left side, and then another 1000 watt light on the right side, and they're all more or less at the same angle. So that's pretty much as far as lighting a blue screen goes. Now, of course, if you're shooting, for example, in a big blue screen studio where you have a big area to cover, you're basically just gonna end up using more lights. But again, the rule of thumb is that if you're using, for example, a 1000 watt light on one side, then you should use the same kind of strength light on the other side, so that this way they kind of eliminate each other and they kind of cancel out the shadows. And this way, that's how you make all those little imperfections in your blue screen kind of disappear. Now the next thing we're going to do is basically light the subject. So here we have a nicely lit blue screen shot. What I mean by that is that the actress is actually lit separately from the blue screen. It might not be obvious in this just by looking at this right now, and that's because it's until you actually remove the blue screen and you put her against some kind of a background, it might actually just look kind of like the lighting is flat. But in reality, what I actually have is I have this kind of a nice soft light from the top on the actress. I have a kind of a backlight kind of lighting her a little bit there from the right side on her hair and her shoulder, and then I also have just two nice soft lights from the front kind of filling in her face. And if you notice, if I actually turn off all the lights up here, none of those lights really affect the blue screen. I mean, they might affect it a little bit, but the key thing is that you want to make sure that first your blue screen is properly lit and is more or less even, while at the same time you also want to make sure that the lights that light the blue screen don't light your actors. Because if they light your actors, then that means as your actor moves around, he's going to cast shadows on the blue screen, and also he's going to get a lot of blue spill on his face and clothing and stuff like that. So if you see up here, this is basically with all the lights off, and we're still getting a nice evenly lit blue screen. The way to achieve this is basically, first you want to have a long enough kind of a blue screen so that you can put your actress forward, kind of away from the blue screen itself. You don't want to have them right up against the blue screen, because then it's really hard to separate them. So in this example, I think we had around maybe 6 feet of this distance from the blue screen. And as you can see, with all the lights for the actress turned off, she's pretty much black. We just see an outline. But yet the blue screen is nicely lit. Now we're gonna turn on all the lights slowly, one by one. So first we have the top light, which is actually a 1000 watt softbox, and that top light actually I put a big kind of a diffuser on it, and I wanted to kind of soften the light because I wanted it to serve a double purpose. I wanted to light the actress from the top, kind of give it this kind of nice sort of soft light, while at the same time just filling in a few of those wrinkles there on the blue screen. So that's why it's this big softbox that kind of hangs over the whole set. Then we have the backlight there on the right side, which lights again just the actress. If I go back and I turn it off, you see that doesn't affect the blue screen. And that's actually a 300 watt ARRI Fresnel light. No barn doors or anything on it, just kind of straightforward. So you could pretty much use any kind of a work light even that you can get at at your hardware store. Then we have another. It's a fluorescent Kino Flow light. Again, you can use a fluorescent light. You could use a hardware light and maybe kind of shoot it through a nice diffuser or something, diffusion paper, just to kind of give it a softer feeling like the one that I have up here. And the reason why I used the Kino Flows up here is because we could afford it, and because we had 2 Kino Flows, and Kino Flows allow you to kind of control the brightness of the light really nicely. You just have this little knob on the side of the light, and you can just kind of turn it up and down. And so I wanted to make sure that this light from the front is the exact same strength as the light here on the left side, which is again another Kino Flow. And these kind of just nicely fill in the front face of the actress. And now if I go back to basically with all the lights off, you'll notice that the blue screen doesn't really change that much. It's still the same exposure, and it's pretty evenly lit. And now with all the lights on, you see that the actress is now finely lit, but also she's not really affected by the lights from the blue screen.
And then now, as far as framing these shots, it's you kind of have to try to approach it the same way as if you were shooting in a real location, which is hard because you're there, and all you see is a lot of just blue screen behind the actors. But that's why having storyboards really will help you, because let's take a look at this shot, for example. I storyboarded that I want the girl in the foreground here will pass by, so we just see her legs, and then the homeless girl sitting there, against the wall, right? And so just looking at my storyboards, I can kind of figure out and imagine what's going to be behind them, and what kind of framing I need to get. So first, I would get the shot of just the girl in the foreground, just her legs, which looks like this. And then I would get a shot of the homeless girls leaning against the wall there, and just looking up. And as you can see, I would frame it, to try to fill up as much of the camera frame as possible, because all I really care about is the perspective and then the right angle, so that it kind of matches my storyboards. But I know that in post-production, I'm going to actually zoom out and make this homeless girl a little bit smaller. And then afterwards, when we finished shooting all the blue screen stuff, I went to an actual location in Toronto. It's called the distillery district, and basically it's basically an area where there's all these old kind of looking streets, with all these kind of cobblestones and brick walls and things like that exist. So I went there and basically got a bunch of pictures that would match my backgrounds that I knew that I needed. And again, I just had my storyboard with me, and I would just match the angles more or less. And this is the background that I got, and then together these elements, when you put them in post, this is how they look. Looks like they've all been shot in one location. Here's another shot, for example, another storyboard. So I knew I wanted to see the girl with the umbrella walking in the foreground, and the camera's kind of tracking with her. And in the background, we see the street kind of in a perspective, and we see the homeless girl kind of looking back at her. And so again, I would get a shot here of the girl with the umbrella, and she's on a treadmill, and the camera is stationary. So I just got her walking, and we had as many kind of practical effects as we could. So we had somebody just waving this thing off screen to simulate wind, and I had somebody above her with the water kind of sprinkling, so it looks like some rain was falling on her. And then I got a shot of this girl, a homeless girl, and just had her pretend she's leaning against the wall and looking over. And then I got a shot of the street too, that a location in Toronto. And I went, early in the morning when, during the week when I knew most people would be at work. So I got these nice empty background plates. And sometimes when I didn't know exactly what height the camera should be or exactly what angle, I would actually ask somebody to kind of stand in and simulate, what that girl, with the umbrella is going to look like, so that I can kind of quickly figure out my angle. And then together, when you put all these elements together, this is how it looks. Another thing I needed for a lot of the shots is just extras. So what I did is while we're shooting all the, just when we finished shooting all the stuff with the band, we asked also the band members to bring like their relatives, friends, anybody who was available that day, and we just have them basically walk on this treadmill, and we filmed them from different angles. For example, I got some shots here of people's just feet. So I knew, if I had some shots of just the feet, I had it, upper body, and even some full body shots, and all kinds of different people. I tried different outfits on, and different angles, and this allowed me later on to kind of just cut out individuals and place them into some of my shots, and to make it look like the streets were actually populated.